Hi everyone, I'm Anthony Quinn. I'm the founder and CEO of Arctic Intelligence, and for episode 3 of Meet Our Partners, I'm joined by Ray Wilson, the founder of AML Global Solutions, based in my hometown of London. Today we're going to be talking about the evolution of problem gambling, and particularly its connection to anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing laws. So, hi Ray, thanks ever so much for joining us. It's been a long time since I last saw you, but thanks ever so much for your time.
No problem. Hi, Anthony. I hope you're keeping safe. And yeah, it's been a while, but good morning to you, and good to see you still looking as youthful as ever.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, I know that you guys are really heavily involved in the gaming sector and advising kind of gaming operators across Europe. Just really be keen to kind of understand what's happening in the UK and European regulations. And from the stuff that I've read, there seems to be a bit of shift in focus from AML to responsible gambling. I just wanted to explore why you think that is.
Yeah, there's a combination of factors, really. First and foremost, there's been a massive influence from the public. So a huge influence, particularly in places like the UK and Italy, where public trust is almost at an all-time low in the industry. The public has put pressure on the government to act, and that meant that the government has then put further expectations, new expectations on the regulator to regulate its operators in a different way. On top of that, you have the more social conscious society being aware of what's actually happening in terms of responsible gambling, failings from the industry, and that greater scrutiny has meant that responsible gambling has come to the forefront. With that being said, the drift hasn't meant that the industry has actually relaxed its approach to AML or sees it as less important. If you look at all the enforcement actions across the UK, the main UK regulated gambling markets, AML is still seen as a key issue, and many of the fines have incorporated AML failings, and the regulators and the government still see AML as a very big concern when it comes to kind of potential failings that operators are having in their business. So, I've worked in AML. That's my expertise over the history of my career, and I've actually studied and worked in key operations which really focus on the intrinsic link between AML and responsible gambling, and it is so. So really, truly, all AML and responsible gambling processes should complement each other and function simultaneously within businesses. So each team within the operators should be working together to ensure they are protecting their customers, supporting them, ensuring that they have everything there to ensure that the customers are not facing potential financial crime implications from prominent gambling issues in their lives.
Yeah, that's interesting because obviously you mentioned that the public trust has been eroded a lot, and that really was the trigger point to governments and regulators really taking more interest. It's a pretty interesting scenario in the gaming sector because obviously there's a lot of vested interests in gaming revenue. It's great that the UK and other regulators are getting involved. So, I guess what sort of prompted that in your mind, and what are the kind of underlying causes that really eroded that public trust in the first place?
Yeah, for sure, and that's a good point you made there. The gambling industry across the world globally is still battling with that commercial versus compliance conundrum. You've got a commercial business here, but you have to function within a compliance framework. That is responsible gambling, that is AML, that is bribery, corruption, fraud, terrorist financing. And I think one of the main reasons why this public confidence has kind of really dropped is, whilst the shift has gone up to responsible gambling, we can then see things a lot clearer. With AML, it's hard to see that direct impact that it has on consumers. I've worked on many high-profile money laundering investigations, many high-profile terrorist financing investigations over the years. But it's very seldom that you see them come to fruition in the public domain, in mainstream media. Whereas when you look at responsible gambling, it's right there in front of your eyes. The debt, the financial strain, the mental health impact, the crime people commit because of it, and sometimes, unfortunately, the loss of lives because of gambling issues that people have. Many people, have been affected by problem gambling, know somebody who's been affected by problem gambling, and this has led to the outcry from the public on operators, and this is why the public confidence has continually dropped, because whilst the public interest has dropped, the level of, I guess, responsibility that operators have taken for a lot of this time hasn't increased. An industry can only work for the economy if it protects its consumers. So that's really how it's kind of stemmed, and how the public confidence has dropped over time.
And obviously, like AML Global Solutions has been around for quite a while. I just wanted to understand, well, how do you support your clients really, complying with the AML and responsible gambling laws, and what sort of trends are you seeing in your market?
Yeah, we support our clients, whether in the gambling sector or other sectors in many ways. Some of them we've worked with you on very well. So it could be, for example, our general case of consultancy under, what we call a retainer agreement, where we help and support operators meet their regulatory obligations. Others, could be more specific training or policy reviews, compliance health checks, which again, like I said, we've worked with Arctic to deliver to a number of our clients really, really well. And it's something that we're ever increasingly having demand for.
With the risk assessment, obviously that's really close to Arctic's heart, and just really keen to understand how you actually practically go about executing those risk assessment engagements with all your clients.
The same way it works for AML, you wouldn't just look at the general data across the industry. You look at more closely your customer base and where it's going right and where it's going wrong. Use this information that's sitting in front of you to really benefit your business. And so far, we've worked with a number of operators implementing this risk assessment into their business and really helping them improve their operations. And we're really encouraged, really enthusiastic that despite the current pandemic, COVID-19, that we're really the interest, the appetite for this is really, really taking on a lot of pace. And we're actually working with Arctic again to develop this in a format which can kind of be can be offered globally.
Are you seeing your clients trend towards digitizing their risk and compliance and all the benefits that come with an audit trail, workflow and analytics? Yeah,
so I think what we see is that still the financial services industry is ahead of the gambling industry when it comes to kind of competency around AML, and then aligned with obviously responsible gambling as well. So they are behind, but what they are trying to do is kind of understand more, be better in seeing where risks lie, seeing what it actually means in terms of their obligations. Ultimately, and that's where it makes sense, makes business sense, to automate as much stuff as possible, whether it's a trigger, whether it's a threshold, whether it's understanding, the risks by actually implementing the data that you do know. Like you're saying, it's understanding the data. And for a lot of the time in the gambling sector, the operators, key personnel, license managers are actually looking to the regulator for the data, but the key data is within their own business. So it's really understanding that you hold all the keys to the information you want to know, and rather than looking outwards, look inwards. So what you can do with this risk assessment is really delve into your customer base, really understand your own business, and come out and be able to work effectively, work efficiently, to really benefit your customers and yourself as an operator.
That sounds fantastic, and a great service you're providing to them. I guess just before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to kind of talk about?
What I believe is based on this, that not only now where you're responsible gambling teams or departments to focus on about the whole business, so whether it's your AML teams, whether it's your customer service teams, your marketing teams or digital teams, they'll all be involved in really supporting consumers and customers gamble in a responsibly safer environment. And that's a big shift. That's where we see the future going. And based on the success of this, we might see increased legislation, regulation. We might see stricter, tougher enforcement action, but hopefully we may see improved compliance. And we believe that once we get to this environment where operators really do take ownership of this, we'll have a better outcome for the industry. But it's just like any other industry. It can be formed, it can be structured to work in a way that is commercially beneficial to the business, but also protecting consumers and benefiting consumers. At the end of the day, it's an industry that people do want. We must appreciate that, and it's about trying to effect positive change to ensure that the future is conducted in a safer environment, in a better way, always improving, always trying to work which benefits the people as well as your business.
It sounds like a really interesting shift, Ray, and I just wish you the best of luck, and look forward to catching up with you in London again soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe.